Hey guys, my name is Zykoma. I'm a former competitive Fortnite player and I really want to share all my experience and all the things that I know about the game with you guys. Today we're watching a game from Mongraal so we can learn how to key W keys and see if there's anything that we can apply to our own play. Let's just jump straight into this video and learn something new. Pretty simple, nothing crazy there, right? And then he heads inside and starts working on everyone else in Slurpee so he can get a bunch of these kills. Has the awareness to realize that someone's coming up behind him. And something that I want to point out here is how good his aim is with the hipfire AK, right? He's tracking extremely well. Like, even though this is not some sort of game sense tip that I can give you guys, like, hey, you need to make this decision and you need to do this differently. Like, this is not something you can change instantly. This is something that you need to understand. Hey, this is the importance of aim in Fortnite. If you have really good aim, you can get away with so many things, right? You can not play perfectly, but just out aim the other opponent. The advice that I can give is just practice your aim, get really good at it, get really good at tracking, get really good at, you know, flicking and just making sure that you hit your shots every single time. The amount of DPS, the effective DPS that Mongraal has in these sorts of situations is really, really good. Uses the cone here as his cover, so his entire body's not exposed. He's also like in both these sort of like 50-50 just tracking fights. In this fight especially, he's noticing the other guy's not hitting him at all, right? So he's more than happy to continue trading because the other guy's just not hitting him. If the other guy beams the hell out of him and just he like, you know, hits him for like 100, 120, Mongraal will then make a different decision and react based off of that outcome. But because he's not getting hit, he's more than happy to get, you know, continue trading. Same thing happens here. The other guy's just not hitting him. And so Mongraal's using that information to continue like, hey, I'm happy to continue trading. You're just missing all your shots. You notice this guy's trying to go up and tries to go up to peak control him, but then he doesn't. Something really important here, something really basic, right, is the fact that Mongraal starts off by approaching from this side, right? And then later on, he goes out to a different side to approach him. And this confuses the enemy. The enemy had literally no idea that Mongraal went on that side, right? It's a really good way to abuse someone's lack of awareness. It's to just like approach from different sides, and most of the time you'll find you'll just get free shots because of the fact. And then one more detail is the fact that he continuously sprays, right? He really continuously sprays, doesn't give it up, doesn't try to piece control anything, he just continuously sprays. And the reason for this and why it's effective is because it's off spawn. A lot of people don't have that many mats, right? So if you just spray a lot, they'll either be hesitant or just not build at all because they don't have mats. Right here, he's taking advantage of the fact that he's not moving at all, no footsteps to be heard, and this guy will not be aware of the fact that Mongraal is just sitting here, right? It's just a very good tactic to do. Let them get close. You're sitting on the right hand peak, and then as soon as they get like right about here, you just shoot them, and it's over after that, right? It's really important that you don't let them cross this line because once they do, that's 50-50 territory. If they're behind this line and you shoot wall just like Mongraal has done here, it's very easy to shoot, get a free hit, and then either 50-50 or just make a full box and then right hand peek them, right? Watch it one more time. If you hear the AR shot like that, right, you'll notice that Mongraal is more than happy to make a wide edit into a full box because he hears the AR shot, right? AR shot, yeah, there you go. And you just know that this guy's not looking at you with his shotgun, and that's like the biggest concern you should have when you're making wide edits is like, okay, is this guy just crosshairing me with his shotgun? If he's not, pretty safe to do it. And in general, even if he is, in that case, like Mongraal's pretty happy. Okay, this is an example of, I think this is a mistake right here, right? This is not a good, this first shot was good, and then he backs out to like get out of the box and make some distance and claim some pieces as well. So I put pieces between him and his enemy so he can sort of reset the fight because he doesn't want to take this 50-50 just like this guy forced it. This is kind of awkward, you know, not the ideal scenario for you to win a fight. So he backs up, creates some spacing, and then places some pieces. This edit is not ideal, right? Obviously, like I said before, you sort of want to edit away from your opponent so that you have some sort of cover, but this is too big. It's too wide of an edit. If you make this window edit right here, right, this would be a very good edit in my personal opinion. I think this is the edit that Mongraal needs to do and get a free shot on him. But since he gives the enemy the right hand peek, he only hits him for like 90-ish. Don't actually remember the number, but like he gets it really hard. He almost dies actually, right? And then he times, he's paying attention. It's very important that you actually get used to like looking at your opponent through this opaque wall, right? You need to actually pay attention to what the opponent is doing, and Mongraal's extremely good at this. He times the shot with the pickaxe, and so that's why like Mongraal doesn't rely on peaks. He relies on his aim, and he relies on making decisions based on what the enemy's up to, and he's really good at doing that, right? That's his strength, I would say. He's 83 HP. We can then assume the opponent's like 200 HP, right? He shouldn't take this fight because this is a new person, right? We can assume he's 200 HP. He needs to expand out and try to pop some heals. That's exactly what he's doing. You see how he expands out, but most importantly, he expands in the opposite direction of where the enemy is approaching, so that he can't get piece controlled. Like let's say this is your box, right? And this is where the enemy is approaching you. If you go out this way, the enemy can place this wall, and if you go out this way, the enemy can place this wall. But if you go out this way, there's no piece control opportunity. So this is correct, right? You need to always go this way. These are not valid opportunities for you to fan out, unless you're confident that you can get this wall before the enemy tries to do it. But that's like a situational thing. General rule of thumb: every time you're expanding, because you're trying to buy some time while you're healing, always go in the opposite direction. And this goes like in 3D as well. So if the enemy's approaching you from above, try to go down, right? Because if they're above you and you go backwards, right, like on the same plane, it's going to be very difficult, because they can just place cone floors everywhere and piece control you. But if you go down, it's difficult for them to do so, right? Same thing when they're coming from below you. If they're pressuring your floor, go up, right? Go in the opposite direction. So that's a really easy way to expand and guarantee that they have no piece control opportunity. This was a little bit scary, but you'll notice Mongraal's movement. Obviously, the danger here is the opponent can stare you off when you make this wide in it, but Mongraal moves a little bit forward, right? So usually when you move a little bit forward, just like Mongraal did here, if the enemy stares, you'll actually end up phasing through the stair, and you can actually get the shot off regardless. That's really good play by Mongraal.
Oh my god,
the second shot could have been much better, in my personal opinion. If you look at how much damage Mongraal took,
oh my god,
and also how much HP he currently has, right? Like, this is not a good play. He needs to abuse the right hand better. These are all wide edits, right? The first shot is alright because he's predicting the pickaxe, but the second shot, why not just say here? Why not edit this stair, or this wall rather, and just sit in this corner right here and you abuse this right hand peek? You totally should do that, right? And that way he's not going to ever get hit, and there is an opportunity for the opponent to hit a really lucky shot or just have good aim in general and win this fight versus Mongraal because of the way he's taking this fight. It's not a good play. He needs to abuse the right hand peek and take it a little bit slower, and I think he'll win this in a cleaner manner.
Oh my god, I'm so good.
I don't think this is a good play there. Mongraal just doesn't abuse right hand peeks enough in situations when they're very obvious to use them. This is another example. We saw this before in Slurpee, where he sits behind a right hand peek and abuses the fact that the opponent doesn't know where he is, right? And he'll win the fight really quickly off of this.
Oh my
god. Because he'll get a free shot immediately and then get an HP advantage off that shot and then turn it into a 50-50 or just like a full box like he did there. Loses the wall, expands out. Actually does a really good peek here, right? This is a really good peek, especially if you have pepper. Every time you jump with the pepper, you're gonna like go longer distance horizontally, so you can surprise them. You don't even have to build here and they won't see it coming. It's a really good 112 damage. Tries to piece control, misses some edits. This is a bad peek. You're fully exposed. You need to actually sit behind this stair, like hold the edit, go back behind the stair, let go and shoot. And how fast you can do this is all dependent on how much you've actually practiced this sort of movement. And Mongraal's just jumping around. He's jumping around way too much right now, and this is causing a lot of like issues because he can get hit really hard here. That's exactly what happens, right? And so if this was Norilly in this exact same situation, he would not have done this peek. He would have edited the stair, moved backwards, and then let go of the stair, and then piece control the floor as well, and then go for the shot, a peek shot, and that's going to give you a way better chance of winning that fight. Mongraal almost died. Like I want to emphasize this. Like this is so important to not do this, right? Just because Mongraal won the fight does not justify his play. Look how low he is. He's extremely low. You can barely see it. He's 53 HP. You can barely see it because of the YouTube play bar, but 53 HP. That's with Siphon. He was 3 HP. So if the opponent hit a slightly harder shot, Mongraal's dead. This is something just from me watching Norilly a bunch. Like this is something I know for a fact that Norilly would not do. Mongraal's weakness is his peaks, right? Lack of understanding of like when to peek properly and when the opponent is looking at him. Good shot here. Good example of making a wide edit after your opponent shoots your wall. Right here, right? He codes himself so he can't get stared off, and then makes a wide edit across the top because he knows this guy, this bunny guy right here, just has already shot a shotgun. He shot the wall. He shot the wall to try and take it. So Mongraal has a window to shoot the opponent back. Right? The opponent jumps in into Mongraal's builds. So right now Mongraal owns like most of this 2x1, I'm pretty sure, except for the roof. Actually, he coned him too, so yeah, he owns everything. This guy's full box. And then he's holding this wall to prevent the escape. Here's a shotgun shot. He knows he has another window to go for a shot. Makes a wide edit, goes for the shot, resets, and then changes direction. Remember earlier in this video we talked about how changing direction really benefits you because the opponent doesn't expect it, right? The opponent's last known location of you was on the other side of this box, but if you come on this side of the box and make the edit, even if it's a wide edit, sometimes like you'll actually win the fight just off of that. He shouldn't take that trade. He should just build earlier. This is a little bit of a greedy trade right here, right? Because the opponent has the advantage. You have to react to when the opponent peeks you, and the opponent can see you in his third-person camera, but you can't see the opponent in your third-person camera. Does that make sense? So if the enemy's on this ramp, if you think about it just from the enemy's perspective, the enemy can see you, right? So it's a much easier peek for him than it is for you to hit him back. It's much, you have to like sort of predict it, or you can't even react. It's too late. Really pay attention to like how close the enemy is to this peak, right? Mongo moves to the left to make that happen, but basically even if this person had their shotgun out, it'd be very difficult to hit Mongraal here, right? And he also times it with his pickaxe, right? With the enemy pickaxe. It's a 174. Really needs to pressure here. Cone's too slow. He needs to go for a wall. Yep, he goes for a wall. Cone, the problem with Cone, right, is that there's two pieces that you need to take before you can access the enemy. And when that happens, the enemy can usually pop a mini by the time you get the cone and then move on to the next box. Like you make another box by the time you're working on the floor. So walls are just faster way to pressure, right? Some people like the cones because it's a safer way to pressure, but if you have this big of an HP advantage, you hit the guy 178 and you're 200 HP, you need to get in faster. You need to pressure much faster than that. Look how small that target was, like right here. You can barely see him. It still hits him 104 and then an AR shot as well. So again, 167 HP from Mongraal versus a 50 HP target. How fast that he needs to get in here? He needs to get in really hard. He needs to continuously pressure. And look how hard Mongraal's going, right? He is not gonna let the enemy pop a mini ever. Enemy has height here. He's playing it slow, trying to win some favorable trades, right? He's playing it slow. He's not rushing up. He's not build fighting. Build fighting is very dangerous. Not that there's third party. It's a 1v1, final 1v1, right? But in general, build fighting is just not the way to play it. He notices that, cause like it's very easy at this point in this era of Fortnite for enemies to just maintain height. It's not difficult. People PG all the time and they know how to do it. So Mongol's gonna look for the breakdown, right? And then go for height that way. That's a much safer way to do it. Goes for the pickaxe swing. Understands that there's a danger of this guy editing on him, right? Why is this not a problem for Mongraal? Is because he owns this wall on the right? See the wall really close to our camera? The reason why Mongraal can safely go for the pickaxe swing is because as soon as you see this edit, the enemy has to pull out his gun, so there's a little bit of a delay there, but there's no delay on your reset. So if you can react faster than this enemy can pull out his gun, then you're safe. And look how it plays out. Right, you can block the shot just like this. You do need to have somewhat of a good reaction time to do this, but it's a really good concept. I call it the safety. And if you have a safety piece that you can reset, there's no problem double swinging or swinging 3 different times on any wall, right? So it's a very good idea. Play at a diagonal like this with the enemy box so that you have these safety pieces for yourself, right? Because if you're playing like, let me draw this out because it might be a little bit confusing, right? Let's say these are the box. This is the Mongraal situation. Mongraal's right here, enemies right here, right? This wall is Mongraal's and this wall is the enemies, right? But this situation is way better than going for something like this for a multitude of reasons, right? If this is the situation, this is kind of sketch because the only safety piece you have is a cone, and that's not that good, right? And it's kind of difficult, especially if you're standing somewhere closer to the front. You can't really edit that cone to block the enemy shot. So this is not a good play. This situation, you have a right hand peek, so that's advantageous, and you have this piece right here to reset every time you see the enemy edit on you, right? So if you're confident you can react fast enough, this situation on the diagonal is much better, right? So this is the situation that you should be going for. Notices the wall is weak, goes for 1 AR shot, gets a really nice peek. Notice something here as well. Every time he makes a peek, he moves left just enough so that this enemy is very close to this line right here, and that means that Mongraal could see the enemy, but the enemy can't see him because of the right hand advantage and how it works in Fortnite, right? But if this enemy is really far, let's say the enemy's right here, it's gonna be kind of difficult, right? The enemy's gonna still see him, so he needs to move left until the enemy's very close with this line, and that's the case. That's exactly what he does, and he's able to hit him without even jumping. You see how he moves left until that line is very close with the enemy? That's to take the full advantage of right hand peek. You see why he's single swinging right here? he has to single swing here because he's worried about the possibility of the enemy editing on him, right? Here he needs to be careful because he doesn't have a pre-placed wall. If the enemy edits the floor, Peace controls the wall and then edits the wall and then shoots Mongraal, Mongraal's screwed. He has no safety, as I say, right? The option would be to place this wall himself. That would be his safety. Or he could play out to the left, right? He can sort of, do a right hand peek on this floor. Those are two options to take this floor safety. If you're not going to do that, if you don't want to do that, then you need to single swing, right? Because you need to be very careful of the opponent swinging on you. Really good play here. I've seen Bugha do this way back, where he pumps the floor, takes the piece, edits it, and then switches to his AR because his pump is no longer ready to go for another shot, right? You can do that super fast.
Oh my god.
Use a different weapon than the weapon you used to take that piece, and then that allows you to do a lot more damage in a faster manner. Not every pro is really good at every little thing, right? And I feel like that professional players in Fortnite just have pros and cons, and sometimes their pros are so good that they overwhelm that con that they have, right? They don't necessarily care about that con. But in my personal opinion, I think if Mongraal really wants to get better, he needs to work on his peeking abilities and understanding like the peeks that he makes or the edits that he makes sometimes leave him vulnerable and sometimes almost get him killed, right? So if he works on that, he'll be an extremely good player. But as of right now, like his ability to read the opponent, his aim, and his speed is just extremely good. Advice to people watching this video: understand what you're good at, right? What are you actually good at? What is your #1 strength in Fortnite? And try to play in a playstyle that complements that strength that you have, right? Just make sure that you're playing in a way that complements that playstyle that you have. Is it your speed? Is it your aim really good but you're really slow at mechanics? Is it your game sense? Are you really good at decision making? Understand what you're good at and abuse it, right? And that's what basically what Mongraal's doing here, right? He's really bad at peaks. He doesn't actually peak properly. If we watch No Really and Mongraal, there's a huge difference in that regard. But Mongraal is really good because he plays in a way that abuses his playstyle. He makes wide edits because he's able to time it well because he understands what the opponent's doing, and he's able to hit really hard shots on each wide edit. He always hits like 180s, right? And it's shocking how good his aim is. And he's really fast, so sometimes he'll just try to outpace his opponent and win that way. So just play in a way that abuses your strengths. Understand what sort of player you are and abuse the strengths that you have, right? And that's basically it. Either way, guys, this has been Zykoma, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and perhaps learned something new. Leave a comment below if you have any questions about this video. Yeah, all right, peace.